Sabaha everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share with you guys a review of the Gear VR experience with the Galaxy S10 Plus. I'm going to test it out with two different versions of the Gear VR, the one that was announced and made available around the Note 8 and the one that was announced and made available around the Note 7. Both support USB-C, only one of them has a remote. This is TK, let's check it out. So what I have in front of us here, this is the Note 8 one. This one includes the remote, and this was the last one that they made available. This is the US model, and I'll include a link for you guys in the description below if you'd like to pick this up. The other one we're going to be testing out is the one that was released around the Note 7. Now this one does not include a remote, but has all the functionalities that we had before. It also includes USB-C support, as well as micro USB for earlier generations of the Samsung devices. You can see here that it goes all the way back to the S6 Edge, not just the Note 7. Now the model number on this unit is the SMR325NZ, V as in Victor, AXAR. Again, US model with remote, and again, worked specifically for the Note 8. Although when you did pick up the Note 9 last year, you did have to actually call Samsung and pick up this little adapter, as the adapter that's included in here wasn't really meant to fit exactly on the Note 9, as that device was definitely a little bit bigger. So you definitely needed to pick up an adapter here that for the most part just replaced the tip that you had on the actual unit. And I'm going to see if this is needed with the brand new S10 Plus. So here we have the actual unit itself. Now obviously I've been using this before, so if you have purchased it brand new, all of these straps will be basically put together in a different area. But for the most part we have basically an adjustment ring here for the focal length. Let's go ahead and open this up. And we just have a shield that we don't use when you were using the Gear VR. We only use it obviously whenever you're actually just putting it away, I guess. But for the most part, we have a focal ring here to be able to adjust the lenses here to be able to get a better view and, of course, get it in really good, clear, sharp image. That little option that I showed you guys at the beginning, you just remove this little tip, tilt it up, and then you can put the unit that you need. If you're using this with the Note 9, just as a heads up, you do need to get that adapter. Otherwise, this does not fit. And just actually kind of show you guys as far as just a visual effect. You can see the one on the right side is a little bit wider and more square than a little bit more concave here. So just from a sense of what they gave us, essentially is that this was intended for anything before the Note 9, and this was intended for the Note 9 onward. And again, we're going to test it out with both of these and see which one fits best. So we're here. This is the S10 Plus, and you know what? This one's actually not a bad fit. And I assume it's mostly because the Note device is a little bit boxier, so that's the other thing. If you're using this with the Note 9, let's go ahead and put this on. Yeah, not as much of a fit. It's a little bit looser with the Note 9 adapter. So if you have the latest version of this one, which is the one made for the Note 8, the S10 Plus should be fine, and just use the adapter that's included. You don't need to call Samsung for the additional piece. And go ahead and you just put it in, align it, lock it. And of course, we do have some offsets here to be able to protect our device, as well as rubber shoes here. And this is a little clamp here. So whenever you put your device, this will bring it in. And let's go ahead and put this in. I'll go ahead and align my phone. Usually when you're doing this, you do definitely want to unlock your phone first. So you can notice right there, there's a lot of room, a lot of space, and then snap it in. And then you can push it in and it works perfectly fine. And it just aligns it very well. And it just, no issues at all. On the right side, we have a touchpad with a basically home and a back button and you can hear it right now talking. And then this basically to use it with the interface if you don't want to use the remote that you have with this in the box. On the bottom, we have a USB-C connector to be able to charge our device, a couple of vents to be able to keep the device cool. And on the left side, we don't have anything other than the logo. On the front, most of this stays open. This is not intended to be used with it. You put this on the side when you're playing. And then of course here we have basically the soft material that you're able to basically remove if you want to basically clean. We do have a proximity sensor that's built in here to be able to know when your face is in here, and it will turn it on for you. So it seems like it's a shoe-in. It works perfectly with the last version of the Gear VR. No need for that extra adapter. So if you want to just pick that up directly, I think the actual fit on the adapter in here is perfect, and there's no need for it. Although if you are going to pick up, let's say, the Note 10 at some point, you may want to also include that extra adapter in your order, or contact Samsung and they'll be able to send it to you for free. Now this one is the SMR323NB XAR. Again, the one that was released originally around the Note 7. This was the Note 7 device, of course, and then the year later they released the latest version that we have with the remote for the Note 8. The unit itself looks pretty much the same. We still have the home button, the back button. We do have a volume rocker that we lost in the last version. Is that because on that version the volume rocker moved to the remote? So that's something you want to keep in mind. But other than that, I think we still have the same logo here, the charging port, the vents. the proximity sensor on the back, as well as basically the ability of adjusting the actual focal length here, and it does actually move the entire unit. And then opening it up, this cover is a little bit more plastic. We have the same thing. We have an A and B position you're able to move this into, so you just need to know which one is for you. For me, I'm just going to keep it in the A position mostly because, you know, the S10 Plus is a bigger phone. Go ahead and put this in. Now, the fitting here is a little bit looser, but I think is once we put it on the phone or in the actual dock, it locks it in, and it works very, very nice. So it looks like, again, with the earlier version of the Gear VR, you're still able to use this. It does fit. It's not super tight. You're not having to shove it in. There's enough, actually a little bit of give in here, and you can see on the sides that it's not actually pushing against them. It's actually using all of the rubber feet, and then for the most part, just remove it like this, and you should be able to use it very nicely. I think between the two, if you had the option and you already have this Gear VR already in your house, you don't have to worry about picking up a new one. If you don't have one, obviously I would recommend you picking up the one with the remote, mostly because this is going to give you a better experience. You can still pick up this remote, I think for about 35 bucks, and connect it to this old Gear VR, because this is a Bluetooth connector, so it doesn't really do anything to the actual Gear VR. It connects straight to your phone. And with the latest version of the software from the Oculus store, the Oculus software here, it should work fine. The first time you plug in the phone into the Gear VR, it's going to ask you to install and update the Gear VR experience as well. It gives you access directly into the Oculus store. Now, the Oculus store is very simple. You have the main store in here. This is the library of applications. The ones installed and the ones that you didn't install will be down here. You can download them. And of course, you can go into events and then see if you have any friends, as well as more under the account information to be able to set up your information. But other than that, all you have to do at this point to be able to use it is unlock your phone, tilt this up, plug it in, lock it, and you're set. And at this point, all you have to do is basically put it on. And the other thing a lot of people ask me is, can you use it with glasses? And it's actually perfectly fine. You just have to make sure that your glasses obviously are not too wide, because actually the frame will start basically fitting into it. So for me, very small, thin glasses like this should not be an issue. So here we are in the main interface of the Gear VR. On the left here, we have the time, the Bluetooth connectivity for the remote, if you have Wi-Fi, and your LTE connection or your data connection. On the right, we have the percentage of battery on the remote, and we have the percentage battery here for the actual phone. Last but not least, here on the bottom, as you see, I have the button for recording. That's how I was able to get it to work. If I go to navigation, we have the home screen, which is what we have here. I have library, which will connect me directly into this section, which is my existing library, and I have the ability of checking my updates, applications, environments, tutorial, and of course sorting them by depending on what I'm doing. I can go into the store to be able to purchase more things, and if it's loading a little bit longer here, it's mostly because I'm connected to data. I'm not connected to Wi-Fi. And of course, you can use the actual cursor. So let me show you guys right there. You can see the tracking of my finger, and you can go and start selecting different applications. Now I do have Rush, and that's a really, really cool game, and you can definitely install it, and then you can swipe up. The entire interface is basically based on gestures with the actual pad. And of course, what we have here, it says people. This is going to be your friends, profile, friends, parties, events, and reports. Sharing is what gives us the ability of going live directly on Facebook, recording, taking a picture, or sharing a photo. And of course, settings, last but not least, here is the brightness level, volume, which can be controlled in here or on the remote. You do have a volume rocker up and down, and I can actually control it the same way. And of course, let's go back into settings. I have the panel position, and then of course see all the settings. But other than that, most of the time we're going to be sitting in this option or in the library option. So let's go ahead and go through and play a real quick demo on a game. I'm going to show you guys how the gameplay is on Rush, and I'm going to take you directly into the internet browser and show you how the experience is with this version of the Gear VR, which looks really, really nice. And it's, as you can see here, it looks really, really cool. You have some videos from YouTube already set up. You have shortcuts for YouTube, NBC, Yahoo, Gear VR, all of that stuff. It looks really, really nice. Let's go ahead and jump into Rush.
3, 2, 1, go! Legit. Cool! Shoot is good.
The overall experience is very nice. The longest session I was able to get on this was about an hour or so between playing the game, watching some videos on YouTube, and actually just enjoying it overall. There's no issues with thermals. I played Gunjack and I played Rush, and both of those games are not necessarily very, I would say, system intensive, so there was no issues with heating. So the issues that we've had in the past with earlier versions of Samsung devices, overheating, I think is not an issue. It's not uncommon for them to get a little bit warm, but I'm talking about just basically getting it where it's too hot for us to use. The quality of the display is super nice. There's really no issue as far as clarity. Adjust the ring and you'll be able to have a really good experience there. You can use it with and without glasses, and I think for me, I like the experience with the remote. So if you have an earlier version of the Gear VR, my recommendation for you there is just to pick up the remote by itself. I think it's about 35 bucks, and I'll give you guys a link to that in the description below, just in case you want to just pick up the remote by itself. And I really like the fact that we're able to play VR games on our Galaxy S10 at a really reasonable price, because this is a nice accessory that will work with most Samsung devices. And again, if you have the Note 9, make sure you get that little adapter from Samsung. They'll send it to you for free. Just make sure that when you pick up this actual Gear VR, the last one with the Note 8, call them and ask them for that adapter. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support. Hopefully you enjoyed this little quick demo with the Gear VR, and hopefully now you know that if you have an earlier version, it should work, specifically the one that has the USB-C connector. It should work with your brand new S10 Plus. I'll see you guys in the next video.